Hello, my name is Roger Foisey, and I'm an Ontario long-term disability lawyer. I regularly get calls from people who are worried about being denied long-term disability benefits before they actually apply. However, from a legal action perspective, I can only help once your application has been denied or your benefits are later terminated. So I developed a series of 3 videos to provide you with helpful guidelines based on years of experience seeing common errors that lead to LTD application denials. This video will focus on how to work with your employer so they properly complete their section of the LTD application, so you're less likely to be denied. You'll also want to watch my other 2 videos in this series, which provide guidance on the sections that need to be completed by you and your treating physician. All sections are critical to the success of your long-term disability application. For the employer section of the application, often referred to as the plan sponsor statement, you need to understand what the employer submits about your job is going to be considered more heavily than what you submit regarding your job duties. More importantly, both you and your employer's understanding of your primary duties and how your injury or illness affects your ability to carry out those duties must be consistent. First, understand who is completing the plan sponsor statement. Does this person know what your actual responsibilities are, or are they not involved in your day-to-day work? Second, you should ask to be part of the process and sit down with the person completing the plan sponsor statement so you can provide input and describe your role in detail and how your injury or illness will affect your ability to carry out your duties. If your employer representative refuses, ask to review the plan sponsor statement before it is submitted, so you have a chance to bring any errors to their attention. If they refuse again, ask for a copy after they submit it, remembering ultimately that you will also have a right to ask the insurer for a copy once they have received it from the employer. If your suggested corrections to your employer have not been made, or if you find errors or inconsistencies in the employer's submission, write a letter to the insurer to bring the errors or inconsistencies to their attention. So let's walk through the plan sponsor statement together, so we can go over those sections you'll want to ensure are correctly completed by your employer. So let's take a look at the sponsor statement. This is what your employer is going to have to complete for the long-term disability claim. There are different sections that they are going to be looking at, some of which are similar to what you would have looked at in the plan member statement. First section is income. Ensure that the income information provided by the employer is correct. You'll want to make sure that the employer actually understands how you're being paid. It kind of sounds funny, but there are times when your shift premium, your bonuses, or commission is something that you believe is part of your income as it relates to your long-term disability claim, and sometimes it actually is not. So understand what your LTD policy actually bases income on. So the next section is tax information. Who pays the LTD premium, you or your employer? If you paid, the benefits are non-taxable. If the employer paid, the benefits are taxable. So check with your HR representative or pull out an old pay stub and take a look to make sure that this is done correctly for you. You want to make sure that you are actually going to be paid the correct amount of LTD benefits from the start. Having to correct this later can always be more problematic for you. Next section that an employer is going to be asked to look at is primary duties. Are your primary duties being detailed by your immediate supervisor who is directly aware of your responsibilities? How have your duties changed from your initial job description? Does the person who's completing this form know? And has the employer accurately described the work environment you are in? All of these are important things to make sure that the employer gets right on the application. They will have a big effect on whether or not the insurer actually understands what your job is and why or why not they believe your symptoms prevent you from actually being able to complete that job. The next section, which is similar to a section you'll remember from the plan member statement, is discussing physical, psychological, or cognitive demands. Now, does your employer only understand the physical demands or the psychological and the cognitive ones as well? While you may be physically capable of operating machinery, are you actually able to concentrate and remember instructions? And do it safely, due to either a condition of medication that you've been prescribed or other factors regarding your injury or illness. The psychological and cognitive demands of your job are just as important as the physical demands, so ensure that the employer makes reference of this in the actual sponsor statement. The last section I wish to discuss with you is the work schedule. Does your disability prevent you from going back to work to your regular schedule? This may be due to medical appointments and required therapy during the day, for example. If so, can your employer modify your work schedule? While you may be able to do the job itself, the work schedule may prevent you from actually doing it. I hope this video has been helpful to you and your employer when completing the LTD application. I encourage you to watch the other videos on this topic, which cover important tips for your own application form and your doctor's medical statement. If you've applied for long-term disability benefits and have been wrongfully denied, or your benefits have been recently terminated, I encourage you to contact my office to set up a free consultation or visit my website at injurylawyercanada.com for additional LTD videos and resources.